Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Shepherd's Eagle and I'm gonna do a game analysis of Schalke 04 Evolution versus Unicorns of Love. It's a game, or better to say a series, played in Prime League, and this is best of 5. I'm gonna do an analysis of all the 5 games in separate videos, so this is the first video, game 1, and the other videos are gonna follow for the games afterwards. I'm gonna talk about pick and ban phase first, and then we're gonna jump into the game to see how it plays out. If you at any point wonder why I'm doing this, I want to make it as a League of Legends team coach. This is why I put up content like this. If you want to check out more about what I do videos about team coaching, about mental edge, about a lot of stuff that has to do with the role of a team coach in League of Legends. And if you want to get to know me or you want to contact me, I'll put my email in the description and my Twitter and Reddit account too. So without further ado, let's jump into the pick and ban phase. I think if you don't follow Prime League that much, I can totally understand that. So I'm gonna keep it a little bit more superficial in the pick and ban phase. I'm not going to talk about too many of the pocket picks of the players and stuff, because I want to focus a little bit more on the game, since this is in Prime League, in my opinion, the most interesting thing, what the players pull out in the game. So Schalke started the pick phase with the Yone, which is not seen in a lot of regions. I would say it's seen in Prime League a couple of times already. It's not something completely new there, but it's still something special you can pull out. Yone has a very special win condition, since it's a little bit like Yasuo. The team really has to play around Yone. Yone has, with his kit, a very heavy all-in mechanic, since if he goes in with his E, you can easily predict where he's gonna end up after the fight or even in the fight. So it's easy to punish if you don't play around that well. We're gonna see how it plays out in the game. First impression, I would say Yone as a first pick is pretty obvious what you're gonna do. You're gonna draft the whole composition after you pick Yone around that champion. Like, it's not leaving any possibility to get a big variety in draft. So Schalke 04 definitely must have a plan how to play around Yone. This is the first thing you have to point out. So we're gonna see that in the upcoming picks from Schalke 04. On the other hand, Unicorns of Love follow up with the Maokai and the Rakan. So from the side of Unicorns of Love, I think targeting Yone in draft phase now would be, I would say, a 50-50 thing. Because on the first hand, you could argue that if they lock in Yone, as I just explained, the team is gonna play around that champion, and you can try to outdraft Yone. That's very simple to put it that way, but you can do it. On the other hand, you can argue like, okay, Yone could be a bait. Like, Yone first pick is very bold, because you have no conditions yet that match this pick. You have, the whole game is still wide open, the draft phase is still wide open, you don't know what's gonna follow. And Unicorns of Love, I think they recognized that, so the Rakan can work into Yone but isn't considered a good counter to Yone, in my opinion. The Maokai, on the other hand, very safe, very easy to execute, and I think Unicorns of Love just went for keeping their options, you know, just to not give away too much about what compositions they want to draft. Maokai has a very simple win condition in lane, like he just wants to get tanky as hell. And if you play it correctly, Maokai just is clutch for team fights. So Maokai always wants to get off a good ultimate to for example, engage or to set up a team fight. Rakan wants to follow, so this is already pointing in the direction of a team fight composition for Unicorns of Love. Next picks Shen and Gragas for Schalke 04. The Shen, I really like that champion in this scenario, because as I said, Yone has the condition that his team has to play around him a lot. And that has to be matched at some point. And Shen is perfect for doing that. For example, in ranked, I sometimes duo with a mate and we play Shen Yasuo combo. Like my friend all loves to play Yasuo mid lane and I go Shen, so he has a stronger all-in potential. Because I can protect him and provide CC for him if he needs it in team fights, so he stays alive longer. Because if a Yasuo or even a Yone is in, once he's in, he has to stay in the fight. Like it's really hard for a Yone or for a Yasuo to get out again. So I like the Shen pick here. I think it's a pretty safe pick into a Maokai because Shen has a good all-in lane. Like if he hits his E and the Q, like the sword gets pulled through the enemy, he gets his bonus attack speed, his empowered auto attacks, and can utilize his shield, his passive, pretty well in trading. So Gragas, same thing again. Like we have an 80 mid lane, 80 top lane. You need an AP jungler because your 80 carry is most likely gonna be 82. So I think Gragas is a perfect choice here since it also enables Yone more. In team fights, Gragas can provide the CC and the peel for the Yone and the setup. So I think Schalke 04 round their 3 first picks in draft phase out pretty well. The bans, I think we have a lot of pocket bans here, like or player targeted bans. The Darius for the Kerberos and the Evelyn, I would say, is a normal ban in this meta. Jax and Kale, I think is just something Schalke don't really want to deal with, since Jax, for example, just to talk about that a little bit, can give Yone a pretty hard time. Because, as I said, Yone wants to all-in, Jax can deny an all-in. With his ultimate, with his E, and he can keep up a fight for a longer time and stay in the fight since he builds lifesteal at some point and so forth. So, bans here from Unicorns of Love. The first bans I would say are, well, Ashe showed that, how do you say that? Ashe showed really well, especially at Worlds, how much utility she can bring into a team fight and even into a game. Like from the start to finish, Ashe is very, very potent as a champion. Kai'Sa, I think, is just comfort. Nidalee is something I would say they don't want to deal with because it's a power farming jungler that just wants to stay ahead. And maybe in their composition they didn't really want to face that. As I said, I don't want to talk about that too much. Lilia and Akali, last bans for Unicorns of Love in the second ban phase. Totally understandable. Because, as you can see, they picked the Hecarim, and Hecarim wants to really farm up, stay ahead, and get kills early to make his to enable his snowball. And Lilia farms up, and can also keep up with the Hecarim. Nidalee, same procedure. So, second pick phase. We see the echo from Unicorns of Love into Yone. I think it's a good pick. I would consider this a pure skill matchup. Like Echo into Yone, pure skill matchup. Because Echo can actually, like, I understand why he picked Echo, because if Yone uses his E and at some point has to go back to his position where he procced his E, Echo can put his stun on that position, like his thing there, his W, and just stun Yone, burst him down, and a little bit make his life a little bit harder. So Echo, I would say, is a good pick. I'm gonna talk about the whole team composition and at the end now, after I talked about Jhin and Leona. We see Ezreal and Leona locked in for Schalke 04. So, as I said before, the first 3 picks were totally around Yone. Shen and Gragas are perfect to play around Yone and to enable him in laning phase, in later fight stages of the game. So in bot lane, they already know, okay, we are not gonna get a lot of attention in bot lane. Like Inex knows, okay, I have to stay safe at some point. I have to, work against the thing that I don't get a lot of support and maybe get ganked a lot and stuff like that. So he picks Ezreal, totally understandable, nice pick here. Leona. I don't like the Ezreal-Leona combo, to be honest. At Worlds we saw that too from G2. I just don't like that synergy at all, because it has no synergy really. Like, Ezreal wants to stay back, save farm safely, and Leona wants to go forward, go all in, get the early advantage, and to snowball, and to roam around the map. Schalke pulled that off pretty well in the game, I think, even though I don't like the synergy between those two champions. But the thing is, with what you have to put focus on, that they commit completely to the Yone pick here with the Leona, because Ezreal wants to stay safe, as I said, and Leona wants to go all in. So we already know Leona is not gonna stay in bot lane for long. You know? That's basically why Leona is, again, understandable here. Not my favorite pick, but understandable. So they use 3 picks to cover Yone, and the 4th pick to be able to stay safe and still have an impact in the game, which Ezreal is perfect to do. Last pick from Unicorns of Love, Jhin. I think since we have a Rakan, the immobility of Jhin and the playstyle that he has, really slow auto attacks that always depend a little bit on how deep you can go into a fight. I doubt the Jhin pick a little bit here, because as I said, their composition is completely dedicated to teamfight, to do an all-in, to cover Yone, to enable Yone, and Jhin is a little bit like outside of that, because he doesn't want to go in there at all. He just wants to stay outside, because if he goes even near to Shen, Gragas or Leona, he's dead. So that's why I don't really like the Jhin pick here. Of course you can have a little bit more range with Jhin. I think that's the thought behind the pick, that you just have a little bit more range, can engage from far away with his ultimate and stuff like that. But Jin's condition here is to get early leads, to get a good advantage in the game so he can deal damage against these tanks here, like Leona, Gragas and Shen. And fighting Yone is not even an option for Jhin. So to round out the whole draft now, I think Schalke's draft is a little bit more favorable here. The Hecarim on Unicorn's side is, in my opinion, a pick which belongs in this composition to Schalke 04 more than to Unicorns of Love in pure team composition. Because he doesn't really have a setup here, like Hecarim especially. He goes really fast, goes all in, ults, and what's the follow-up CC? A slow Maokai ultimate, not gonna work. A Rakan, who just has to dash into the whole team, follow Hecarim, which he can do, but what happens next? You know, Echo goes all in, they have 3 tanks, they CC them to death, they CC Hecarim to death in the fight, and that's basically about it, what Unicorns have here. So Schalke 04, to make it clear, has a clear teamfight composition. They play around Yone, they enable Leona to roam and make Ezreal just farm up safely. Unicorns of Love, on the other hand, Hecarim needs to get an early snowball to make this pick work at least. And I don't see how they want to play the mid to late game, to be honest. Like seriously, I doubt the draft at that point, because I don't see a clear sense in how to enable this composition. You cannot really go for all-in teamfights, since Schalke 04 are much stronger there. You also don't have the potential to play a catch composition, just to basically work around catching champs catching champs out in the side lane or something. Like, I don't really get what Unicorns of Love drafted themselves there. Because Echo is good for catching people, Jhin is definitely not. Hecarim is good for catching people, so you see a sense of a catch composition here. Maokai, worst champ for a catch composition, like he doesn't have any agency to play catching style basically. And Rakan, he can roam of course, but yeah, he has to stay with Jhin, because Jhin would be dead if he starts to roam and follow Leona somewhere. So, sorry. So, Schalke 04 Evolution favored in draft, I think, and now let's jump right into the game. I'll pull the camera down here so we see everything. Alright. Well, let's start with the first setup. Both teams covering the river completely, which is fine, I think. Like, neither of those teams wants to go for an early risky play or something. Okay, actually, Unicorns decide to at least check out the waters there. Yeah, this is... Well, there won't be happening too much because Hecarim wants to farm up safely, doesn't really want to fight Gragas early game. Gragas, same thing, not the best early game champion. If Hecarim gets level 3, he could fight Gragas at some point, but yeah, I think neither of those champs is really favored in a 1v1. So we're gonna see some safe jungling here. I expect mid lane to be a pure skill matchup, as I said in draft. Top lane is... yeah, well, top lane is gonna farm. The thing is, Shen has a lot more agency to impact the game early after hitting level 6 than Maokai, because he has TP and ultimate, and Maokai only has TP and a very slow ultimate. So I would argue that Schalke 04 have definitely the early game advantage, the laning advantage. Which I find interesting is that if the camera switches over, yeah, there we see it. It's interesting that Leona and Ezreal are pushing in that hard at the moment. Because Jhin and Rakan should, in this case, have lane priority. Because Jhin brings a little bit of CC, he can very, very easily poke down a Leona who wants to go all in if he stays back a little bit. And Rakan, of course, has enough tools to deny them the push. So I doubt why Unicorns of Love allow this early on the push to Schalke 04. I don't really see why they don't pressure them more. Like Hecarim, of course, is doing a full clear. He has to get his early Trinity Force as soon as possible. He now goes for a gank, which is a good call, I think. With Ghost, he's able to get the first blood, which is perfect for Hecarim. Like, really well played by Unicorns of Love there and by Agorine. He recognized the opportunity in top lane, so he did a perfect full clear. Like, as you can see, he started at blue buff, he went all the way up to top lane, did his whole jungle, and at the end, not going base, but picking up first blood is a perfect first turn for the Hecarim. Like, he did not a full clear, he did a full clear. Like, okay, bot lane happening, some weird stuff now. Ezreal gets his first kill, was very, very well played by Schalke 04. The thing is, I'm not gonna pull that back because it's explainable in... okay, we see that again, that's perfect. Alright, the top lane kill first, some fancy camera work there, but whatever. The thing about Ezreal and Leona is, if you want to make those two work in lane, you have to imagine it like this. Leona goes all the way forward, all in, and she wants to fight, stay in the fight, be tanky as hell, and CC the enemies to death. So Ezreal, on the other hand, of course, he doesn't want to go all in, but he can utilize the CC that Leona brings to at least step a little further into the fight, so he doesn't get jumped on easily, like from the Rakan or or get CC'd from the Jhin W. And this is how you can imagine the Leona Ezreal lane working. Like, Leona is the beast, she just goes all in, draws all the attention, and Ezreal is a little bit like the sneaky peeky guy in the background who's like, I'm still gonna go in, but they're not even gonna get me. So he gets the opportunity to at least deal damage while Leona is tanking all the other stuff up and CCing the enemies so they don't engage on Ezreal completely. Of course, Ezreal will take some damage too, he has to be careful with going too deep into the fight, but it can work. And Schalke 04 really make that work in this game. You will see that, how the Ezreal-Leona bot lane plays out. Hecarim, on the other hand, is really desperately looking for camps now, which I doubt a little bit here, because he should know that Gragas will do his full clear to deny first Hecarim's to first deny Hecarim successful invades with farms for farm, and yeah, well, Hecarim, as you can see, is just standing around. Like, he's not doing anything productive here, not getting his lead further ahead, not ganking a lane. He doesn't have any setup, to be honest. Like Unicorns of Love should play a lot more around Hecarim, since they picked him for that purpose. I mean, even sleeping, like Shen is going safe because he knows Hecarim is there. Look at how long Hecarim is waiting there. What the hell is that guy doing? Like, Agurin. His Krugs are up, like, now Yon is joining the fray. They're fighting, sleeping there for no reason, and now, yeah, okay, this... You don't dive a Shen level 6 with that type of a setup. That's just not gonna work out. I really don't get why they spend so much time there. Like, Agurin even baited Envy to that position. Kerberos sacrificed his lane a little bit for that. Like, he now has to go base again. I don't feel that, no. I think Agurin made a big mistake there. Now he can, of course, do the next full clear in his jungle if he wants to, and maybe look for another opportunity to gank, but I think this was the point where Agurin lost a lot of his momentum in this game. Just staying for top lane so long, because you have to get the thought clear. Like, what was Agurin doing there? First, he has two options. Like, mid lane is a pure skill matchup. Of course you can gank there, but let's leave that out for a moment. We have bot lane and top lane. Bot lane, on the one hand, for Schalke 04 is staying completely safe, and if they get engaged on, Leona has a ton of CC to deny that, or to even turn around the fight. So Ezreal can get the time to do his damage, because he takes time in the early game to do damage. He doesn't have a lot of DPS or special abilities that deal a lot of damage, so ganking bot lane for Agurin is not that easy, I would argue. Even though they are pushing out all the time. But they do that because they know they have Shen. So Agurin, on the other hand, thinks, okay, let's just keep Shen down, let's gank him. As you can see here, already got first blood on him. And that's basically Unicorns of Love's game plan. They want to keep the Shen down. They want to gank the shit out of Shen. So he doesn't get to utilize his ultimate. But on the other hand, mid lane skill matchup pretty even. Bot lane is getting pushed in from Unicorns of Love. Like, their bot lane is not getting the advantage they were thinking. I assume that they were thinking that bot lane on their hand would get an advantage at some point. They are even down in farm. Like, when Venser, or how you call him, is down 14 CS now, 15, and it's growing. So I think playing for the top lane there to keep the Shen down and maybe to gank him a lot, I get the idea, but with a Maokai Hecarim setup, it's not gonna happen, seriously. The ultimate of Maokai is so slow, Shen doesn't even care about that a lot. Hecarim goes in, tries to CC him with his ultimate. Maokai maybe roots him up a little bit, but Shen is so tanky, he can block auto attacks, he can E out, whatever, as you saw earlier. Like, Shen was able to deny the tower dive, even though Hecarim and Maokai were both diving him. It didn't work out. So I think Unicorns of Love is lagging a clear game plan at the moment already. This early into the game, I don't know how they prepared for that game, basically. Let's watch what happens here. Beautifully played. This was beautifully played by Certus. Because they had the better setup. Let me just switch back to here. So you see, Gragas is standing in the wings. Like, he's waiting in the wings. There are 4 people here, and Jhin is on bot lane, so they don't have the AD carry with them. Ezreal, on the other hand, is close to the fight. He can join. So, like, Schalke 04 can get a numbers advantage here. And they know that, of course. So Certus basically knows Nukes is waiting in the wings, Lurox is waiting in the wings. They have good CC that they bring with them. They can set up a perfect fight, a perfect opportunity for Certus to go all in. Certus knows, okay, I just have to wait a little longer until Ezreal joins the fight. So Certus uses his E to get out, buy time, and uses his E backwards again to get back into the fight. And so he denies Hecarim his complete all-in potential by just going under the tower. Look at this. He E's out, Hecarim can't go any further, used his ultimate, and now Certus is going back in, Leona and Gragas bring all the CC, Ezreal joins the fight, and they get the perfect setup for a team fight. As I said, Schalke 04's team composition want a team fight. They really want to enable the all the CC that they got to play around Certus, and they pulled that off perfectly in that fight. This fight was a perfect example of how Schalke 04's team composition works and how they want to make it work. And Unicorns of Love, on the other hand, they don't have an answer for that. And I think this is the problem in this game for Unicorns of Love. The most favorable scenario, like we just saw, that could happen for Schalke 04. They don't have an answer to that. They can play a little bit for catch, like Unicorns of Love. They can play a little bit for the catch with the Hecarim and the Maokai, as we saw at on the first blood on Shen. But what do they do afterwards? They can't face a team fight because they are too weak for that. They don't have enough CC, they don't have enough tankiness. They just have Maokai, a slow ultimate. They have Hecarim with the all-in, which can be denied by 3 other CC sources from Schalke 04. They have the Echo, who is, I would say, not the team fighter at all. Like, Echo is good in a 1v1 or a 2v1 maybe, but not in a 5v5. Echo doesn't really prefer to do that. So they don't have an answer for Schalke 04's composition. And I think this is the reason why we already see Schalke 04 in the lead right now. And Leona is doing what I was mentioning in draft already. Ezreal is pretty safe in bot lane, but Leona, like Nukes, is doing a pretty good job on that. He's roaming around. Fighting for that Drake is a little bit, I would say, risky for Unicorns of Love. Sorry, for Schalke 04, because let's switch back there a little bit. The setup, yeah, okay. The Drake was started by Schalke 04. So let's watch the map. Of course, Schalke 04 think they have a little bit of an advantage. They have some pressure in bot lane, and Nukes is covering the entrance here. Certus is covering this entrance here. So maybe the call was for Gragas to start the Drake. Maybe they didn't realize there was a ward or something, or didn't know that Maokai has TP. They don't know where Hecarim is. They don't see Echo, like both are missing. They know the bot lane of Unicorns of Love is pressuring them into the river. They see that there. You know, like they know something must happen, like that Unicorns of Love want to contest that dragon. So I don't really get the call in this scenario why they should do that, because the clutch thing in this fight here, which is about to happen, is Shen. He doesn't have TP and he doesn't have ultimate, so he cannot join. So they are in a numbers disadvantage. They play against the Hecarim, who has some items already, who loves to play early skirmishes because of his early game strength, of course. They have the bot lane from Unicorns of Love pushing them into the river, like building pressure on this part here. Only Nukes really has the option to keep them away there for a little bit, but then Maokai joins the fight. And this is, I think, where the Maokai TP is clutch to split Schalke 04 up and to deny them making that call work. So let's see how that plays out. Maokai TP. As I said, Leona has to leave her position there because she would be in a sandwich position here from the bot lane and top lane from Unicorns of Love. He would be instantly dead if he would have stayed there. Certus has to move now because Echo and Hecarim are approaching his position in the brush where he was waiting before, and Gragas is basically left to die. So Gragas goes out too, has to leave the Drake. I think he wanted to go for a cheeky steal here or something, which I absolutely don't get how that should work, because as you can see, he just gets CC'd to death. and bursted. So I think this was a favorable call for Unicorns of Love, but a bad call from Schalke. I don't think Unicorns had to do a lot to make it that clear to basically get that dragon. Yeah, mid lane is pure skill matchup. Echo has a kill already, which is nice, but on the other hand, Certus has a farm advantage, so yeah, not gonna matter too much. Gold is pretty even at the moment, so I don't think either of those teams feels in control of the game yet, even though I would argue that Schalke already felt how their composition works in game. Like, I think they got some confidence from the fight that was happening in the river earlier, like around here, where I was talking about the perfect setup from Schalke 04 against the Unicorns of Love. And I think that's a big part of games like this is how you play the mental game. And if you get a fight like this as a team like Schalke, like before, you feel like you can play exactly the game you want to play and it works out perfectly. And this is basically why Schalke have an advantage right now. Now they really pull off confident plays. They go for the Rift Herald there. Of course, it was a little bit overconfident to contest the Drake there, but yeah, whatever. You see the confidence rising in Schalke's team right now, because Unicorns on the other hand, they don't really seem like they have a clear game plan, and whatever they are trying to execute, I think they already feel that it's not working out very, very well. Schalke 04 on the other hand, they see their game plan definitely works out. Their team composition works in team fights as they were planning. So Schalke 04 already have a mental edge here. As I said in the beginning of the video, I made some other videos about that kind of topic if you want to check them out. Like videos about mental edge and stuff, I made them too here, about team coaching concept that I bring in. Just feel free to check them out. State of the game at the moment, I would say definitely pretty even still, even though, as I said, Schalke are a little bit in the driver's seat. But I feel at this point of the game, Hecarim should be way, way more ahead. Because Gragas is keeping up with him. Even having a little bit more CS than Hecarim. And this shouldn't be the case. Hecarim should already be like 20 or 30 CS up above that Gragas. And have maybe like 2 or 3 kills more in his pocket. So the Hecarim really works. Because if Hecarim is just even with all the other guys in the game, he is not very outstanding. Like, Hecarim cannot do a lot of stuff there because he can't deal the damage, he can't withstand the poke from, for example, an Ezreal. He can't really fight a Gragas 1v1. He cannot get a favorable 2v2 fight off in mid lane, for example, in the skill matchup. Hecarim is basically falling off very, very hard already. And we are just 14 minutes into the game. This is the time where Hecarim should shine. This is the time where Hecarim should just roll over the enemies and burst them down so Unicorns get a real advantage. So I think at this point of the game, Unicorns are losing their only win condition basically, because Hecarim was their only win condition up until that point. Skill matchup in mid lane, like tank matchup in top lane, even though Shen is favored there because he got his ultimate to roam even more than Maokai. Bot lane, Ezreal just will farm up completely until late game, and Jhin and Rakan are basically left outside of the game. They cannot do a lot. The only option that Unicorns of Love have right now at this state of the game, I'm just gonna play now because this is something that I can tell you while we watch the game. The only option Unicorns of Love have right now is to really hard commit to get this pick to make that pick work, to get this composition going at some point, to the Hecarim, for example. Like, they should hard commit, for example, for a lane, for example, mid lane, just like leave bot lane a little bit alone, doesn't matter. Like, Korean or even Chinese teams do that a lot. If somewhere on the map a play is happening, everyone joins the fray. Like, every part of the team is there as soon as possible. They plan that, of course, so they can be there in time. But they go as 5. For example, if all of Unicorns of Love would now be mid lane, in this play, Yone would already be dead. And if they would repeat that process, they would break a little bit the mental edge from Certus and also from the whole team, because Schalke 04 play around Certus. They play around enabling Yone, making him work, making him get to his power spike where he gets 2 to 3 items. And as we all know already, Yone on 2 or 3 items is pretty damn strong. Like, you cannot really fight Yone then. So Unicorns of Love, I think, totally missed their both opportunities. First, Hecarim getting an early snowball lead, didn't work out. He's 1-1-0 now after 16 minutes into the game. Second option, just going for the really big catches, like where you pull the whole team from Unicorns of Love up to one position, like in mid lane for keeping Yone down or something. They missed both of those win conditions by that point of the game, so I think this game is already pretty clear a favorable one for Schalke 04 at this point of the game. And as you can see, Leona doesn't even go bot lane anymore. Why? Like, why should she do it? Ezreal is perfectly fine in the game. He has a good farm. He has even a score that is pretty nice, like 102. As an Ezreal at this point of the game, against the Jhin and the Rakan, by the way. Pretty decent, I would say. Inex is playing his champion very well there. So, yeah. We're gonna see how the rest of the game plays out now, but I think already we got our clear winner here. Nice engage by Schalke. Let's see that setup again. Okay. Yeah, I think we saw pretty perfectly. We saw perfectly why Unicorns of Love don't have an answer into Schalke 04. Let me just take that step by step. So Rakan is invading the enemy jungle here. I think Lurix must have seen that. I don't know actually. They clear out the vision and now Unicorns of Love decide to go in. Because they saw they saw that basically they are 3v1 here. Jonas in mid lane and Hecarim is very fast. But again, they engage on a heavy CC duo here. I get the idea, they want to really just catch someone out from Schalke 04 to make Hecarim work at some point, but it's, as I said, it's already too late. Like, Leona has a few items already, Gragas has some items, decent farm, he's pretty good in the game, he has damage, and yeah, well, I don't get why you would do that. I think this is kind of a desperation play from Unicorns of Love. Let's see what happens here. They go, Hecarim even decides to go out again. Sorry. Now Rakan joins back, like, he was bot lane, for whatever reason. He wasn't even in the fight when Unicorns decided to engage. Hecarim disengaged again. Now he's trying to go from behind. But you're engaging on a heavy CC duo, as I said. Like, they are keeping them busy here. They recognize, okay, Inex is coming from the bot side up to join the fight. But Inex is pretty strong. Like, he has nearly 2 items already. Of course, I understand the commitment there to go for Inex. He flashes out, so they don't have any target left here. These 4 players are were all focusing Ezreal, who had E. Like, they should have known that this at some point was gonna happen. That Ezreal would E out and be gone out of the fight, or flash, whatever. Which Inex did. So they had no tasks to do anymore, and as we see, Maokai in the middle of 3 people here. What is he gonna do? They are full health. Like, Shen and Yone are full health. Yone is like, okay, let's take the free kill. Shen is tanking everything up that's left. And Unicorns of Love don't have a plan. They engaged on Ezreal. this is why I mean they don't have an answer to Schalke 04's comp, because the only target they had was Ezreal and they didn't even catch him, because it's Ezreal. So, as I said, clear favorites, Schalke 04, just by the team composition already, and by the way it played out, definitely not the favor of for Unicorns of Love here. And Ezreal is, by the way, just getting bigger and bigger. Enix is playing this game really good, I have to say. I mean, he's already been in the LEC before and now he's in Prime League again. I think that man knows what he's doing. As you can see, like, the whole CC that Leona and Gragas bring keep them busy so long here. And they don't get anything for that. And the Ezreal gets out, they are lost, they can't do anything, they disengage. Boom. This was their try to make Hecarim as a pick work at some point. Didn't work out. Not at all. And Schalke 04 even gain more confidence off of that play because they know, okay, even when they engage on us, we can deal with it. They didn't even get a pick when they fully committed to fighting us, to catching us out. So Schalke 04 must have that big of an ego right now. They must be like, hey, they cannot even contest us at any point of the game anymore. Next Herald goes in the favor of Schalke 04. Yon now is really strong since he already got his 2 items complete. Yeah, well, this game is over for Unicorns of Love, definitely. Hecarim is trying to steal some farm, but it's too late for Hecarim. As I said, like, he just got his Trinity Force when Gragas already nearly got his 2 items. So, yeah. Hecarim definitely not a pick that works out anymore in that composition. Like, it's too late in the game to make Hecarim work now. Yon is having his fun now, he can just burst Jhin down and doesn't even get damage. Rakan is... like, look what Rakan can do actually, nothing. Jhin is trying to poke a little bit there. Yon goes in with his E. Rakan is like, okay, I can CC him, but what next? Like, you know, Yon is gonna jump back at some point anyways. So Jhin is like, help me. And Nautilus, for example, would have, in my opinion, worked a lot better for Unicorns of Love or any other hard CC champion, or maybe a Braum, I don't know, but not the Rakan. Yeah, Schalke 04 are using the whole pressure now, they have all the control over the game. Unicorns of Love just doesn't have any more agency to really pull off a play here. Because Maokai, he's not that tanky yet. Hecarim just no business at all, like he can do a lot, he can not do anything basically, because all his targets are either too tanky or on the other hand too mobile. So, or it's too much CC there to engage for Hecarim. Like, Hecarim into this composition is just bad. Dude, you cannot play Hecarim into that hard of a CC composition and... like, I mean, Lurox, Enex and Nukes. Sorry, sleeping Lurox and Nukes. These 3. They don't care at all what happens to them. They just care about how does Certus do. Can we play around Certus? How do we enable him? If he's good, we are good. And Hecarim is like, how the hell do I approach Certus? He can't do it. You know? From in this stage of the game, like mid-game now. Echo nearly got bursted by Shen, holy moly. What? Sorry, what? Certus? Gets CC'd? He ults back, why? What? Sorry, but... what was that of an... what was that Ultimate, though. Okay. Maybe he expected Maokai to go back in or something, or pressed it already. Or maybe he wanted to press his E to get back and just hit his ultimate. Yeah, whatever. Looked weird. I mean, now Gragas is stealing Hecarim's farm. You can see how far behind that Hecarim is. He cannot do anything now. Hecarim is like a bot. He's running around looking for farm, like, hey, what can I farm? Maybe is something here? And if he sees Gragas, it's a scared pony. What you gonna do, man? Unicorns of Love can surrender if they want, seriously. This is such domination by Schalke's composition, just purely by the composition that Schalke have drafted themselves. Unicorns of Love, they have good players. Really, they have really good players. But with a composition like this, and the state of the game like this, like look how desperate Hecarim is running around to get any farm. And Gragas in the meanwhile is, I do a Drake here, a Herald there, and in between we're gonna teamfight and slap the shit out of Unicorns of Love. What the hell? What is that fight? Seriously. Why did Unicorns even stay there? I don't get it, man. Like, Hecarim was staying around there for so long just because of that Grump, and now they don't even get Certis because he's too fat. I mean, I respect the effort from Envy there to go for that pick, and Envy is really trying his best to put his team on his shoulders. But as I said, Certis, on the other hand, Yon has a whole team that's playing around him. And Envy, he has no one who's playing around him. He's basically playing for himself. He's playing alone with his Echo. So I respect the effort from Envy. I really think he was the only guy who really tried to pull off something crazy in this game. But it didn't work out because, as I said, team composition wise, Echo is really in a deficit here. The only thing I would argue, actually, since I talked about that earlier, that the only chance for Unicorns of Love basically was to play a catch composition. Like, why do they stay there? I don't get it. They think, okay, Envy is top lane, Venza is waiting in the wings, but yeah, they are so far behind. And Hecarim is, as I said, running around like a bot. He doesn't do any crazy stuff. I don't get why they stay there. But to come back to my point, Envy, throughout the whole game, throughout the whole laning phase, was basically staying in mid lane. And this is something I don't get why he did that. Because he must have known his team has to play for catches. Since they drafted themselves a composition that works around catching people out. Even though it was a weird draft to build a catch composition. Like the Maokai doesn't fit there at all. So I don't get why Envy was playing for lane so hard. But well, you can discuss about that, I guess. I think it was a mistake. Envy should have played more for the side lanes earlier, for ganks, for catches. Maybe they would have gotten something bot lane or something. Or at least deny Nukes all his roaming, because Nukes was on fire there with his roams. This guy was all over the map. He still is, by the way. Okay. That was really overconfident from Lorox and got punished heavily there. But yeah, well, he just bought time, so they get mid lane in it, whatever. Like, Schalke are so far ahead now, they can do whatever they want. They're playing their game, and Unicorns of Love have to commit to that. To just, like, stay alive. Look how bold that is. Shen even goes in, and Hecarim is, like, as I said, a scared pony. What does he want to do? He doesn't even fight him. What the hell? What? Seriously, look at Hecarim. Okay, he wants to avoid the damage, but now Maokai is tanking up the damage. The Shen W blocks some auto attacks, maybe, but he has Q, he has W, like Hecarim should fight him there. Why didn't he fight him? He just was watching. Yeah, no. Does he die for it? Hell, wow. Okay. That was poorly played by Arguin, I think. It was just poor execution. Okay, at least they get him now. But damn, it took that long. And Schalke 04 are using their advantage completely to get, basically break open the base. As I said, Inex is playing his whole game, his own game here. He's doing that very, very well and very clean. I have to really give that man props. And why does Maokai not see him there? Why don't you check that brush, bro? Like, Leona even gets the Sunfire proc and get cancelled, so this is a mistake. This is a heavy mistake by Kerberos. He doesn't check that brush. Why? They could have gotten an easy kill there. I think at this point of the game we are where I like to call it the mental boom for Unicorns of Love. Basically, I think they already surrendered in their minds. They don't really keep up the game. I mean, to be fair, they don't really have any win condition anymore. They don't have a jungler, so I can really get why they go a little bit mental boom here. I hope in the second game they draft themselves a better composition, because this game was really lost in draft, to be honest. This was a pure draft focused win by Schalke 04. Definitely draft kingdom here for Schalke 04. Yeah, the game is over then. I think we can switch now. Let's just see the final fight here. What happens there? Yeah, he doesn't even see him. Oh, that's so bad. Hello, internet. Where are you? Gosh, sorry for my internet, guys. There we go. So, just to see where they are. Shen has ultimate and TP up. So he's gonna join the fight anyways. He's bot lane. Gragas, Leona and Yon are joining mid lane, I guess, soon, because they just got Baron. Phew. Yeah, I think this is just a rundown now. Let's see. Schalke 04 have enough power to really just run the Unicorns of Love down here. Shen is pushing in side lane. Unicorns of Love shouldn't even commit to that, to be honest, like the Shen. No, they are pulled out of the base and easy targets for Schalke 04. Maokai gets nearly bursted as a tank. The music fits there. Yeah, that's game over. Like Envy, as I said, I respect the try and the effort Envy put into that game, because he really tried to carry that a little bit further, but impossible against that composition. And the lead Unicorns of Love have. Sorry, Schalke 04. Oh, they're not even gonna finish that at this point, because Maokai Maokai pulled, he proxied the wave, so they didn't get the minions, but yeah, well, whatever. Game is over. Well, okay guys, this was game 1. Next video, game 2. Hopefully I'll see you there. If you're interested to get in contact with me or even talk about that I could potentially coach your team, I'm open for anything. Please feel free to ask me anything in the comments, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Since I'm just starting out on YouTube here, I'm pretty unknown and stuff, so every help and every subscribe I get is a big thing for me. Thank you. Have a great day or a great evening whenever you're watching. Next video comes tomorrow.